So here's the sad truth, and I think we all know this by now, but we don't have a lot of time. I think this is one of the things that really makes university challenging, makes it difficult, is that there's a lot of content. There is an immense amount of content to cover, but there's not a lot of time. So how do you actually navigate this? How do you best utilize your study time in order to cover as much content as possible, and of course hopefully finish the syllabus as much as you can? So I think one big truth that you have to be aware of from the beginning, and you just have to keep in the back of your mind, is that there is a possibility that you might not cover everything. Now, this is something that I personally saw in essentially all of my years of study, especially in my postgraduate, is that when it came time for exams, when it came time to write exams, I did not cover everything in as much detail as I wanted to, and I was not as comfortable with everything as I wanted to. So this is something you need to be aware of, but there's nothing wrong with it. There really isn't. You just have to manage your time as efficiently as possible and make sure you get to the most important content. So because of this, one of the first things that I can mention is make sure you start with the sort of more difficult sections, the sections that you struggle with, the sections that you failed consistently in tests and previous exams as well, leading up to this point. The sections that you're scared of, that you have a bit of fear of, when you hear about that section, your heart sort of trembles a bit. We all have those sections, every single one of us do. But these are the ones that you need to start with, because hypothetically, if you start with the easier sections, get those out of the way, then there may come a time where you do not actually reach or finish everything in the syllabus, and then you end up not finishing the critical sections, the really important sections. So yes guys, it's super important that you make sure you start with the difficult ones, the tough ones, and do it in the beginning, because this allows you to spend a bit more time on them under a bit less pressure. But once again guys, you need to start as soon as possible, because you don't want to be starting to study for exams a week before the exam itself. I think you're putting yourself under a lot of pressure here. So make sure that you just slowly, gradually progress into studying and do it as early as possible. I'll be very honest with you. Next up, this is something I preach a lot on this channel, but you have to plan your time. You have to be as efficient as possible and make sure that, especially when leading up to exams, you account for essentially your whole week, what you're going to be doing every single day in that week. Because if you want to be as efficient as possible with your time, you have to know where your time is going. You have to know where you're spending your time. And most importantly, you need to know where you're going to spend your time and actually spend your time in those places that you need to spend your time. Because if you don't plan, if you're just going through the weeks, essentially winging it, guys, you're setting yourselves up for failure here. You have to plan your time, and I think within planning as well, it's important that you follow through with whatever you set down. That's super important as well, because planning is inefficient if you don't follow through. Very important. So account for your weeks, make sure that you know exactly what you need to do, and every single day when the day starts, look at that plan, understand what you need to get done today, and get it done. Another super important thing is during study sessions, you need to maximize and get the most out of each and every single study session. I think this goes hand in hand with efficiently utilizing the time that you have. So you need to make sure that every hour you studying is an efficient and effective hour. So in saying this, it's important to put breaks in, even if it's short breaks. Study for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break. 45 minutes, 15-minute break. Make sure you get those small breaks in between, because if you're just studying for 5 hours in a row, maybe you'll be efficient for the first hour, possibly first 2. But the last 3 hours, definitely you won't be as efficient as you were if you were to take frequent breaks. So that's why I have to emphasize, get those breaks in. Give your mind some time to rest, some time to de-stress, and some time to recharge so you can focus and get as much out of each and every single study session as possible. And of course, in line with being efficient in your study sessions, you need to make sure that you reduce or minimize or completely eliminate all distractions around you when you are studying. Because if you're studying, and every 5 minutes you're checking your phone, or every 5 minutes you're talking to your friends or your roommates, or you're just getting distracted, or you're going and fetching your Uber Eats, if you're doing all that stuff, you're not efficient in your study time. You're not utilizing your study time as well as you should be. This is stuff you should be doing in your breaks. So you need to make sure distractions should be pushed completely to one side, and you need to have that focus. Really focus, concentrate on what you're doing, and get into a sort of zen where all you're doing is just focusing on that work, getting stuff done. There will be times where it's frustrating, where you feel like, no man, I'm not understanding this, things are not coming right. But it's in those moments where you really have to show up for yourself. You really have to focus. You really have to just be strong up there and make sure that you are not distracted while you're studying. You're getting good, efficient study time in, and you're maximizing your output. You also, in leading up to exams, you need to understand, and this is a small thing, I think it's something a lot of people don't do, but I'd even go as far as to say a month before the exam, 2 months before the exam, you need to know your exam schedule. You need to know what you're writing and when you're writing it. That's very important, because just having this information and this knowledge and understanding in your mind leading up to exams, you're well aware of what you need to be getting done and when, and how close the exams are or how well spaced out they are. That's very important. And this was a critical success factor for me passing all my modules without ever having failed one. You need to know what you're getting yourselves into. You need to know what's coming up, when it's coming up, how much time you have left. So I'd even say, get it down on a calendar and look at that calendar at least every second day, so that you have that perspective of, I have 4 weeks left until the first exam, 5 weeks until the second, 5.5 until the third. You need to always keep maintaining that perspective so that you're able to efficiently slot in what you need to be getting done and when, so that you can cover as much of the syllabus as possible. Super important. And I think lastly, one of my most important things that I want to leave you guys with today is burnout is a thing. Burnout is a big thing, and a lot of students end up burning out. I've seen it for myself. I've burnt out myself. Trust me, you don't want to be burning out, especially leading up to exams, or even worse, in exams themselves. This is a massive killer of, student success in university. So you need to make sure that you're pacing yourself, that you're not just working 24/7 every single day for 3 weeks on end. This is not sustainable. You need to study sustainably in order to maintain your consistency and your output every single day. And in saying this, if at any point you ever feel like you're overwhelmed, things are too much, things are not happening for you, or mentally you're just not okay or whatever, pull back from the studies. Pull back and take some time off, even if it's a day, half a day, whatever. Just take some time off, breathe, relax, take your mind off the books for a little bit, because this is instrumental in getting yourself back on track before you burn out to the point where you literally need time off, or you have to go to the hospital, or just things are bad. So please guys, this I really need you guys to take and internalize deeply, that your mind needs a break, your body needs a break. So don't ignore what your body's telling you and what your mind is telling you. If you need to pull back, you need to assess for yourself and pull back accordingly. So I hope you guys are all having fantastic study sessions leading up to exams. I hope things are coming along well. Please guys, in the comments, let me know which one of my tips, whether in this video or previous videos, have helped you out the most. Please, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like as always. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Most of you guys watching the videos haven't yet subscribed. And until my next one guys, let's continue on our journey in creating a better world.